1960-something Zenith 12-inch portable black and white television. This was a barn find. Today we're going to try and get it going. I think the way we need to start off this video is just with a few moments here to let everybody go to the comments section and post the phrase, "The quality goes in before the name goes on." So I'm going to go get the dim bulb tester, and everybody rush to the comment section and post that. Again, the phrase is, "The quality goes in before the name goes on." Okay, good. So that should be out of the way. Everybody successfully got that comment posted. So let's take a look here. Let's get in close. This had previously been checked out in a video on the whole lot of stuff that came out of the barn. We'll start right here. Okay. It's in decent shape. It really is. I mean, the knobs are there. It's actually fairly clean, but it did come out of a barn. You'll see the bird scat. Was this one made in Taiwan? At some point, Zenith had started making this stuff in Taiwan. Zoom out a little bit here. Okay, there we go. I don't think so. It is a tube set. Like I say, we analyzed it in a previous video on the whole lot, just tested the CRT, and it came up weak. Now, weak is sort of a relative term on black and white CRTs. You really just have to get them going and look at them. Sometimes they're unusably blurry and dim and soft and silvery, and other times they look fine. You just can't put them at full brightness. So first thing I want to do is let's get it opened up, and we'll bring it up with a dim bulb. This is 150 watt. I probably want to start a little bit lower than that. But let's get it open first. It's a nice set. Besides a little corrosion-y, it's got the plastic with the fake threading. Some of these were covered with denim. So check out the bird feces running through the back grill and down into the bottom. Could be considered a delicacy. There's some weird jumping thing in the video today I noticed. I apologize for that. I don't know what that's about. But here comes an airplane, so that's going to make it all good. M15, and I wrote that on there. That's my yellow paint marker. So with Zenith sets, it's either going to be one of two ways. It's going to either be really difficult to fix, or it's going to be really easy to fix. So be prepared for either a really short video or a really long video, because that's just the way Zenith stuff is. Because this is series string, I can pull one of the tubes out and reform the capacitors, assuming everything's good, the rectifier diode and these bit fuses and all that, with a very low wattage light bulb because I'm not fighting filaments. So we'll take, well, maybe we'll start with that in there. So we'll start with an 11 watt sine bulb. The power switch. Okay, there we go. Now let me take this out. So it basically went completely dark. So I don't have any capacitors to reform. Either that, they're just completely dead open, which is a possibility. If the capacitors needed to be reformed, this bulb would stay on, but I'll give it 5 minutes. Okay, it seems good. Let's go for it. I did make a change to the camera here. Let's see if the jumping stops. So what is this, a 38HE7? It sure is. It's a Matsushita 38HE7. I can tell by the lettering. Even though it's branded Westinghouse, it is a Panasonic tube. Good tube, I'm sure. Okay. So because we don't have any capacitors to reform, let's just go straight to a 150 watt bulb. Like I say, the capacitors might be open. It's very possible. Or it might just turn on and work being a Zenith. You just never know. It might have been retired because the tube is dead. I do hear hum. I know see raster. Ooh. You know what? I'm going to get a bigger bulb. I want to roll with some protection. I don't know what this thing is fused at. It's not really getting hot. I'm just starting to feel it get a little warm. That one's getting warm. That one's cool. That one's cool. All right, bareback it is. Okay, how do we get this thing open? I wonder if the high voltage rectifier is deceased. Check that out. That has some is that the original high voltage rectifier tube? Okay, so they got this like nanny state crap here where you can't, well, I guess I could try and get it in there behind it. They don't want you turning it on with that thing open, but we want to turn it on with that thing open. Wow, that's hot all of a sudden. Damn. Okay, let's see what we get here. Let's see. Zoom in. Well, we're getting like at least a centimeter there, and that almost seems like DC. I bet you that tube is gassy. That tube has gone to air, so we're getting DC on the top of it. Let's see. No, not really. I bet you that thing has gone to air. I guess that green stuff is glue. The getter is on the bottom. It doesn't look bad. I don't know where I would have one of these. 1AD2. I'm going to cheat a little bit here. So here's a 1AD2. And what I'm going to do is cheat a little bit by using this 40 kilovolt diode. Now let me say something about this. Of course, this has a filament in it. If the filament is not being heated, it will not work. Oftentimes, I see this posted a lot where someone's working on a set and they don't see this tube lighting up. Well, most of the time you won't see this tube lighting up with the naked eye. You might be able to see it in a totally dark room with your eyes adjusted. But also, what sort of makes this test a little bit invalid is if everything in the horizontal circuit is not working efficiently, the flyback won't produce enough voltage to actually heat this filament. So you might be able to draw an arc off the top, but that's not necessarily a totally valid test that we're producing enough energy because this tube is heated by the flyback. So I hope I'm conveying that clearly, that just because you can get an arc off the top doesn't mean that the horizontal circuit is working well enough to produce enough voltage to actually heat this filament. But so what we're going to do is I'm going to stick this in there and then we'll measure the high voltage. If we got 10 or 13 or whatever it says, then we know it's probably the tube that's bad. Let's see what we got here. Well, we got right about 10. Oh, wow. Damn, that's bright. Let me turn that down. Oh, I bet these lines are due to bad capacitors, because I hear humming. So let's see what our voltage came up to now with the 10 kilovolts. So it's a little low. I would think it would be a little higher than that. But also the flyback is going to be very damp. We need to bake that flyback out too. I'd think if it's rated at 13, this says 12.5 to 13. Well, it could be bad filters too, causing low B+. This looks very alive. Hey, here we go. Generator is connected. Should be on channel 3. Nothing. Okay, I got it hooked up to the VHF now, so let me see. It's okay, tuner must be cleaned. That's incredible. All I did was clean the tuner. That's all I did. I haven't adjusted the horizontal, the vertical. I've adjusted nothing on this set. That's a Zenith for you. It's either super, super easy or almost impossible. Look at that. And even though the CRT test's weak, it looks okay here. Look at the focus on this. Come on, compared to that little Sears set, that little Toshiba Sears combo in, I don't know, a few weeks ago. Look at this. Look at how great this is. Zenith just held the line, man. It just was such good stuff. Even look at this. The high voltage regulation, which there is none, but it's still solid as a rock. Look at this. The lines are not bouncing up and in and out at all. Okay, I think something is failing right now. It's getting blurry and it's pulling in from the sides. Yeah, well, it worked great for a little bit, but it's dying. See, it's not. Go back to this one. Yeah, it's done. The dream is over. The high voltage is dropping. The electrolytics are not hot at all. This is not hot. Yes, it's off. So what died? Couldn't tell if that was red plating. I'd like to be watching the current on that. Well, that's interesting. I turn it off and let it sit for 5 minutes and it's working perfect again. And the high voltage is back up to 11. So what's going on here? What's overheating? Well, I'm sitting here watching it do it again, and I'm looking at the numbers on this week's video, which is the Philco Ralph radio, and it's really disappointing that that video is performing so poorly, because that was such a good, I'm talking about last week's video, was such a good detailed resurrection, restore video of an old tube radio. I would have thought people would have been into that, but seems like more and more investing a bunch of time to actually learn the reality of things is going away. Everybody just wants that quick TikTok 30-second hit, give me the easy answer. And that's still not what I'm about, but it seems like I'm sort of slowly being faded away like this TV is doing right now by the very low attention span. It's kind of sad. But yeah, last week's video was really a really in-depth, solid repair video. Just give me that quick fix, man. I just want to see something real quick. I know everybody's not like that, but the majority is. You know, I wonder if this is that horizontal output tube failing. Gassy. Maybe I should try changing it. I changed it. I used 33HK7. So we'll have to let this run for a little bit and see if it drops. I'm watching this edge over here. Well, it's been running for about 15 minutes now, and it's not shrinking at all. So this tube is definitely bad. Now, I bet you if we tested this in a tester, it would be fine. It's just something is sort of gassy in there, and once it gets hot, it starts to fail. And hot as in both sections are under a load. This is a cool tube. I mean, these are Panasonic tubes, are just, I don't know, with the little nipple on top. It's kind of cool. But it's bad. It's got grid emissions, and it starts to thermally run away and overconduct, and I bet if we were watching the cathode or plate current, it would just skyrocket. And I bet it's red plating too. But it's not the fault of the set, it's the fault of the tube. So two bad tubes, looks like, to get this thing going. 182. No leakage, but testing weak. Even if I put the heater on B, which is, you can see it glowing there, still pretty weak. Here's the first section of the 38HE7. Emissions are good. Leakage is bad and coming up fast. Grid emissions. And yeah, it's been baking for a while. But if I cool it down, let's see, how do I do that? Turn that down, I'll let it cool off. So as it's cooling off, you can see the leakage drops to almost nothing, and the emissions are still up there. So, I mean, when testing these, you just got to let them bake on the tester for like 10 minutes. So, okay, it's warmed back up. So, look now, look at the quality. Look at the emissions. Nothing. Now, it'll heat up and it'll hit a certain threshold where it just starts to run away. And there it goes. And again, look at the quality. And now look at the grid emissions. So yeah, it's bad. And too bad, because that's a cool tube. But anyway, I don't really need a tube tester to diagnose bad tubes. Let's try a brand new horizontal output tube damper here, a RCA 38HE7 that is made by Sylvania. Just because it's in a box and just because it said RCA on it does not mean it's made by RCA. It's made by Sylvania. Okay. Let's see. Doesn't matter who it's really made by, right? As long as it works to the same spec. Okay, here we go. Let's see how much high voltage we get. Let's see if we actually achieve our 13 kilovolts. Well, we are getting real close. We're at 12 there. So I'm sure Sam's took those voltages when the set was new out of the box. Let's take it inside and get it hooked to the DirecTV box and watch some TV. I see no evidence that the filters are bad. I could check the ESR on them, but we do have those black lines on the left side. I don't know if that's due to using the solid state rectifier or something else, but let's actually hook it up to TV and watch some infomercials and some commercials for Jardiance and Linzest, because I want my perineum to rot out. I want foreigner's disease, damn it. Just before somebody accuses me of something, all right, you got your Jardiance ready? Let's go. Okay, let's see what happens here. Fine tuning.
Money and put out federal rules. And from the handing out money perspective, for instance, $60 to $80 billion in grants goes out to schools. And one of the problems with many administrations is
Fox News, huh?
You're down to only $190.95 to own a piece of American history. You've got Donald J. Trump on the label, authorized.
Oh yeah, just what I'm sure everybody wants.
You got President Trump on the label. It only makes sense to have that beautiful flag for hope.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous coin, a gorgeous label, gorgeous core, they call that, surrounding the
Zenith and their Buzz-O-Matic, we'll align that. Let's do that.
We always talk about the term key dates. So what are key dates? Corey, you and I both know, being in the industry as long as we have, the key dates are first of a kind.
Man, that is a nice, sharp picture.
And special themes. Right. So you have those collectability check boxes.
Wow.
Nails each.
Nation's most vulnerable, and many of whom voted for him, is just mind-boggling to me. It's absolutely incomprehensible.
Get some CNN in here, that way I don't get accused of bias. Let's try and even it out here.
Oh, I'd like it to be closed immediately. Look, the Department of Education's a big con job.
What's your reply to him where he says it's a con job? I mean, the U.S. spends more than $1 trillion on education, but only 8% of elementary and secondary education funding comes from the federal government. You just mentioned the 10% or so, most of that money coming from the state. So what is he talking about?
We have to answer this.
Okay, so we're finding out more and more that IF alignment causes this buzzing. So this would probably benefit from a full IF alignment, full front end alignment. But also there's a couple of adjustments on these. But the first thing to do before you adjust anything is to get your fine tuning set where you want it. And this is perfect because this has got a bunch of crappy text all over it. But look at how sharp this thing is. I mean, for a CRT that tests weak.
Thank you so much.
So there should be a buzz control on the back, which is that pot right there that's covered with bird feces, I believe. Stand by. Let me get the schematic. So these are the two simple adjustments, this buzz control and A7. So we need to find A7 and this buzz pot. Okay, so buzz is the one covered with bird turds. Okay, so A7 is right, should be right here. Ooh, the money shot. A7 should be that one right there. That guy. So of course there's no text, so there's no buzzing. Oh yeah. Okay, now I need to find something with a bunch of text on it. Let's see if I do this. There we go. Okay.
Meet the innovators using technology to confront Africa's wildlife conservation head-on.
How do we bring in the human beings? How do we become part of the landscape and not separate to the landscape?
Inside Africa on CNN, in association with Zenith Bank. Embark on an unforgettable journey through a natural wonder in the Western Pacific Ocean, the Philippines, a sustainable experience full of life and culture.
There's a lot of spots in the island that are hidden gems.
Its people, turquoise waters, and healing powers.
There you go.
Activate the soul and awaken the senses.
Now up to 50% off at aquasana.com.
I tend to deal with things in life with a sense of humor. My therapist...
Just a little tweaky poo. Brought it right in.
So we connect.
All three men were kidnapped from kibbutz near Oz. As I mentioned, we
MSNBC.
today at Hostages Square. There I caught up with Sharon Lifshitz, her mother and father, elderly mother and father.
We're all better rested and can enjoy the things we love together.
Order yours online at purewickedhome.com or call.
Speaker sounds like it's rattling a little bit.
Today, new external catheters for women and men available for home use. Call 800-483-3135 today.
At Granger, we know dealing with the unexpected is part of your job description. And you made a promise to keep the line running, to power through the downpour, to be the one who always gets it done. And our promise is to help you do it.
I think it's just the metal grill rattling.
Plus same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. Because you can't predict the future, but with the right partner, you can.
My questions and responses on...
See if I can find a décolleté commercial.
Thousands.
Here we go.
The transmission.
It's an exhaust leak.
Broken axle. Catastrophic failure.
$1,400.
But with Endurance, you could never pay out of pocket for a costly repair again.
These...
Endurance paid it.
They covered a $14,000 engine replacement.
Yeah, right. These things are the biggest scam there is. They don't pay. Let me tell you firsthand, they don't pay. No one ever reads the fine print.
Car repairs in your rearview mirror and drive your car longer for less.
Oh, yeah.
With Endurance and Danica Patrick next.
Oh, yeah.
When I was racing, I loved my mechanics. They took care.
My coworkers
Ooh.
using it.
Strengthen and tone your leg muscles. Increase your mobility, flexibility, and balance. Plus, stimulate healthy circulation.
It feels like a workout, like I'm challenging myself, but it's still super easy on my joints with no impact. Now I can walk longer than before.
So I can only show a few seconds of it, but this is the kind of thing right here you sit and watch all day on this TV. Right here. This.
Oh, putty cat.
You can only show a few seconds of it, though. Because...
Relationship you want.
Besides, how are you going to tell...
Maybe some other
time. Oh, yeah. Maybe this, too.
Everywhere I look, I'm...
For top Trump officials to travel to Saudi Arabia for these kinds of peace negotiations.
Yeah, Fred, we are learning that a trio of top Trump lieutenants is set to travel to Saudi Arabia to meet with senior Russian officials in the coming days, according to two sources familiar with the plans who tell me and my colleague Jenny Hansler that it will be Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and National Security Advisor Mike negotiating team. And Matthew Chance had reported that it would be top political, intelligence, and economic figures from Russia, including that official Kirill Dmitriev, who had played a key role in securing the release of a U.S. prisoner from Russia earlier this week. Now, President Trump told reporters earlier this week as well that he could meet himself with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Saudi Arabia in the coming days, weeks, months, declining to put a timeline on that, but also suggested that such a meeting could take place in Saudi Arabia and suggested that that discussion could be supplemented by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who has been a key...
Now that's pretty good, considering nothing else has been aligned and you got all this text on it. You notice that on the cartoons, you don't get any of that buzzing. I mean, this is the stuff right here that drives the you know, the buzzing crazy.
Here's what he told reporters in the Oval Office just yesterday.
Well, I think this. I think that there were a lot of people to blame. All I can say is very simply, if I were president, that war would never have happened. And you know what else wouldn't have happened? The Middle East wouldn't be all blown up, and October 7th wouldn't have happened either. Those two areas, you wouldn't have inflation, you wouldn't have October 7th, you wouldn't have Russia and Ukraine fighting. None of those things would have happened if I were president.
21 being its first year of issue. You've been critical of this ceasefire in that you have voice.
We'll be diving at an hour before.
Professional driver or just a fan, vehicle breakdowns are costly.
Oh, yeah.
It started tugging.
It started making some really weird noises.
Here's another one right here. But of course, again, the copyright thing will just nail it so quick.
I had a seat sensor that went out, $1,400. Endurance paid it.
So the cartoons are the old equivalent of the mush brain doom scrolling stuff we do now on the phone with social media. We actually, in LA here, we actually have an over-the-air channel that's just nothing but nonstop old cartoon Warner Brothers stuff.
50 cents, 5-inch handle, assisted opening, Milanos. 116174. We have the new Lucky Trapper, and this is made by
a neon orange, 5-carat 28. This one is already sold. Don is going to get the panty whacker here in a moment.
All right. Look at the size of this room. Which way do you want to go?
I don't know which way to go.
I'm going this way.
Actors.
Look at this.
Better with age. Cheers to beating these two every Thursday.
Help fuel today with Boost High Protein. Complete nutrition you need and the flavor you love. So here's
Gotta love these Zenith sets, man.
We made a promise to our boy Blue that we would make the healthiest foods possible with the finest.
They're either super easy or super hard. What did we do to this one? Clean the tuner in 2 tubes. That's it. And the CRT tests weak, and look at it. There's a little bit of noise in the picture because I don't have a proper balun on it, but overall, it's a Zenith. No change, no capacitors. Didn't change one capacitor. I'm surprised the electrolytics were just good. There's no hum bars, no hum in the sound.
You're family. And we're family. For you? No. Worth a try. You better change those back, son. Son? Still, no.
It's sharp.
USAA. Are you eligible?
Stanley Steamer is proud to be the leader in deep cleaning, cleaning over 1 million homes and businesses every year using powerful equipment custom built.
Think there's enough resolution there to scan that QR code?
Colors so luxurious, you think it's expensive. Preference by L'Oreal Paris.
Take a look at the vacuum bulbs.
For up to 9 weeks of fade-defying color and high-impact shine. It's preference or nothing at all. I'm worth it.
My skin, sensitive and irritated, so I choose Venus Extra Smooth Sensitive with skin soft blades and a strip with a touch of aloe to protect my skin for up to 0%.
Wasted electrons.
Get a shave made for your skin. My skin, my way. Venus.
We've been restoring homes in Galveston for over a decade. Now we want to help people with their own restoration projects.
You can run laps in this kitchen.
It's so beautiful.
Restoring Galveston.
All right. I think we'll end this one here.